Now, since the intensity is directly proportional to square of the amplitude, we have R is equal to 2a cos pi x by lambda. Therefore, I is equal to 4a square cos square into pi x by lambda. By removing this proportionality constant, we have used, after removing this proportionality symbol, a proportionality constant is used as k. It will be maximum, and this I will be maximum at points cos pi x by lambda is plus or minus 1. For the values cos pi x by lambda become equal to plus or minus 1, then I become equal to maximum. Then I will be maximum for these values of cos alpha or cos theta. Therefore, cos can take plus or minus 1 if theta become equal to 2n plus 2n pi by 2. If theta is 2n pi by 2, then cos theta will become equal to plus or minus 1, where n can take the values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. If n is equal to 0, if n is equal to 0, this entire term become equal to 0. Therefore, cos 0 is 1. If n is equal to 1, then it will be pi. Cos pi is minus 1, and so on. Therefore, cancelling the cos terms on both sides, we get pi x by lambda equals 2n pi by 2, or x is equal to 2n, pi gets cancelled, x is equal to 2n lambda by 2. And therefore, a point will be a maxima if two waves reaching that point will have a path difference of even multiple of half wavelength. If the path difference between the two waves reaching a point is an even multiple of half wavelength, then that point will have maximum intensity or constructive interference. And therefore, I max is equal to k into, k is here, k into 4a square, k into 4a square into cos of that term will be plus 1 for these values. And therefore, it is 4ka square plus or minus 4ka square, since cos term may be plus 1 or minus 1. The intensity I due to single source is Ka square. If the intensity due to single source is small I equals 4K, small I equals Ka square, then I maximum will be equal to 4 times the intensity due to the single source. I is, if small I is the intensity due to single source, and if that I is equal to Ka square, therefore capital I max is equal to 4 times the intensity due to that single source. And minima can take place if cos pi x by lambda become equal to 0. Cos pi x by lambda will become equal to 0 if theta can take the values 2n plus 1 pi by 2. If theta is 2n plus 1 pi by 2, then cos theta will become equal to 0. Therefore, cancelling the cos terms, pi x by lambda is again equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2. Or cancelling pi and pi on both sides, we get x is equal to 2n plus 1 lambda by 2, where n can take the values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. as usual. Now, therefore, the path difference, if the path difference between two waves is an odd multiple of half wavelength, the path difference between two interfering waves is an odd multiple of half wavelength, then the point of intersection of those two waves will result in minimum, or destructive interference. Thus, I minimum is equal to k into 4a square into cos of this term become equal to 0, and therefore it is 0. The minimum intensity is 0. Thus, the screen is divided into two regions having maximum intensity and minimum intensity. So before the interference, before the interference of two light waves, it appears that light energy on the screen will be uniformly distributed, and that will be equal to 2i. That will be equal to 2i. Due to the interference of these two waves, there will be redistribution of energy. At the points of minima, the 2i has been removed. And at the points of maxima, this removed 2i will be added to the points of maxima. 2i, the intensity due to single source, or the intensity which was uniformly distributed before the interference. At the point of minima, the energy 2i will be transferred and added to the points of minima. And therefore, at the points of minima, there is no 2i. In the sense, the intensity is 0. At the points of maxima, since 2i has been added, it will become 2i plus 2i. Therefore, it is 4i at the place of maximum. Thus, there is redistribution of energy in the interference pattern, but it is not according, and it obeys the law of conservation of energy. The energy in the process was neither created nor destroyed, but it was just the redistribution of energy. Redistribution of energy. Now, Young's double slit experiment. Let us study Young's double slit experiment. So we have a monochromatic source S. This place it just in front of a single slit placed opposite to the single slit. That single slit is illuminated by the monochromatic light of wavelength lambda. And when light passes through this single slit, light coming out of the other side of the slit will be spherical wavefronts, and these spherical wavefronts will fall on the two pinholes of a screen. Let the two pinholes are S1 and S2, which are equidistant from S. S1 and S2 are the two pinholes which are kept equidistant from the single slit S. And these spherical wavefronts, these enlarging spherical or spherical wavefronts which are spreading out, will fall on S1 and S2 simultaneously. And these are the primary wavefronts. When they fall on S1 and S2 generate secondary spherical wavelets. They generate secondary spherical wavefronts. In other words, since they are originated from the same source, they are said to be coherent. This is one of the method of division of wavefronts. These wavefronts are divided into two wavefronts, and hence the name division of wavefront. Right? Now, a screen AB is placed at a distance capital D from the two slits S1 and S2. The two slits S1 and S2 are separated by a small distance D. Yes. The two slits are separated by a small distance D. The distance between slits and the screen where the interference fringes will be obtained is capital D. There is a certain point B on the screen AB where the interference pattern will be studied. Now, we have two rays reaching point P. One is S1P and the other is S2P. P is the point where we are studying the interference fringe pattern. Light from S1 and S2 will arrive at point P on the screen AB, and therefore, from figure, it is clear that S1P is not equal to S2P. From figure, it appears that S2P is little longer than S1P. And that extra distance traveled by S2 reaching point P extra distance traveled by the light from S2 to reach point P is called the path difference. And that path difference is taken as equal to x. X is equal to S2P minus S1P. S2P is larger as appeared from figure when compared to S1P, and that extra distance is taken as equal to the path difference x. Therefore, from triangle S1 DP, using Pythagoras theorem, S1P square will be equal to PD square plus S1D square. From triangle S1PD, S1P square is equal to S1D square. S1C square. It is S1D square only. S1D square plus PD square. S1 into D. S1D is nothing but equal to capital D. S1D is the distance between slit and screen. It is capital D. And PD is taken as equal to y minus d by 2. Let C is the center of S1 and S2. The center of S1 and S2 is taken as equal to C. The distance between C and D is d by 2. S1, S2 is equal to small d, and that S1, S2 is equal to D. C is the midpoint of D. D is equal to small d. Therefore, since C is the midpoint of DE, DC will be equal to CE, each equal to d by 2. Now, the distance from the center of the screen, that is C, to point P is taken as equal to 1. The distance PC is taken as equal to y. Therefore, PD is y minus d by 2. From figure, PC is y, CD is d by 2. Therefore, PD is y minus d by 2 whole square. Similarly, we have one more triangle, S2PE. Again, using Pythagoras theorem, to this triangle S2PE, S2P square is equal to PE square plus S2E square. S2E square is again equal to D square. PE square is equal to PC plus CE. PC is y, C is d by 2. Therefore, it is y plus d by 2. Y plus d by 2 whole square. Now, taking the difference of these two, S2P square minus S1P square, and that will be equal to d square plus of y plus d by 2 whole square minus of d square plus of y minus d by 2 whole square. Now, plus d square minus d square gets cancelled. It is therefore y plus d by 2 whole square minus y minus d by 2 whole square. Or it is on the LHS, it is in the form a square minus b square. A square minus b square can be rewritten as a plus b into a minus b. A formula bardidive. A plus b into a minus b formula bardidive. That is equal to on the RHS expand ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Y plus d whole square is y square plus d square by 4 plus 2y d by 2. That is nothing but yd minus of y square. Right, minus multiply ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಒಳಗಡೆಗೆ. It is minus y square minus d square by 4 minus of minus plus yd. Right, in terms ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ ನೋಡೋಣ ಈಗ. Y square gets cancelled, d square by 4 gets cancelled, yd plus yd ಮಾತ್ರ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. Therefore, it is 2yd on the RHS. On the LHS, S2P minus S1P initial ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇವೆ, that is equal to path difference x ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. since that is equal to path difference x, if S1P is nearly equal to S2P, each equal to D, then it will become capital D plus capital D, that is equal to 2D. Therefore, this 2 and 2 gets cancelled. X will be therefore equal to YD by capital D. This is the expression for the path difference. Expression for the path difference. Expression for the path difference. Now, expression for the path difference. Maxima. Point P will be a bright spot if the path difference x is an even multiple of lambda by 2. That is 2n lambda by 2. If x is equal to 2n lambda by 2, substitute ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, x is nothing but yd by d, that is equal to 2n lambda by 2, or y will become equal to 2n lambda capital D by small d. 2 gets cancelled. It is y is equal to n lambda capital D by small d. The expression for, or it is the position of the bright fringe from point C, that is center of the screen. Parent can take the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thus, bright spots are obtained at distances 0, n is equal to 0 occur, y become equal to 0 in the sense if y is equal to 0, y is equal to 0 in the sense at C itself, that is at the center of the screen, we get a bright spot. If n is equal to 1, it will be 1 lambda d by 2. If n is 2, then it is 2 lambda d by 2. And therefore, at these distances from point C on the screen, the spots will be bright. Similarly, minima. The condition for minima is the path difference should be an integral multiple of half wavelength. That is, yd by d equals 2n plus 1 lambda by 2. 2n plus 1 lambda by 2. And therefore, y is equal to, rewriting, we get y equals 2n plus 1 lambda d by 2d. Lambda d by 2d. As usual, n is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. If n is 0, y become equal to 1 lambda d by 2d. If n is 1, it will become 2 into 1 plus 1, that is 3 plus 1. Sorry, 2 plus 1, that is 3 lambda d by 2d. Similarly, if n is 2, it becomes 5 lambda d by d. 5 lambda d by 2d. And for all these positions from point C, we get the dark spots or the minima, in other words. Now, fringe width. If the distance between two successive bright or dark, fringe width is defined as the distance between two successive bright fringes or two successive dark fringes. Let xn and xn minus 1 respectively be the distances of nth and n minus 1th bright fringes from point C. That xn will be the nth bright fringe and xn minus 1 will be the n minus 1th bright fringe from point C. If that is the case, then beta will become equal to, beta is called the fringe width. For this case, it is the fringe width of bright fringe, it will be xn minus xn minus 1. Xn is n lambda d by d, and xn minus 1 is n minus 1 lambda d by d. Simplifying, we get, right, lambda d by d common ತೆಗೆದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. The remaining is n minus of n minus 1, that is n minus n plus 1, and n gets cancelled. The remaining is beta equals lambda d by d. This is the width of one bright fringe. Similarly, the width of dark fringe will be beta dash, and that will be also equal to lambda d by d. N ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ, right? In case of right, ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಗೆ ತಗೋತೇವೆ, xn and xn minus 1 ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೇವೆ. In case of dark fringe, it will be 2n plus 1 lambda d by 2d ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 2n plus 1 lambda d by 2d. n ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ n minus 1 ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ರೈಟ್, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. n ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ n minus 1 ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ. We again get the fringe width as lambda d by d. Therefore, beta dash equals beta. In the sense, bright and dark fringes are equally spaced. They are of equal width. They are of equal width, in other words. So this completes Young's double slit experiment. Right, ಇನ್ನೊಂದಿದೆ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ, ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. Right. Intensity distribution of double slit interference pattern. Intensity distribution of double slit interference pattern. So ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ intensity distribution ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡೋಣ. So we have considered again the Young's double slit experiment. Young's double slit experiment. S1 and S2 are two slits separated by a small distance. That the distance between slits and screen, in this case, instead of taking capital D, capital L ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, capital D ನ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮಿಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಇರಲಿ. Right, this is the center of the screen, point C ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರೆದಿದ್ವಿ ಈ ಹಿಂದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೆಸರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಲೈನ್ ಹಾಕಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. From this point C to point P, the distance is y, as usual, same ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ. Right, now the total instantaneous electric field at point P on the screen. At point P, we are measuring the instantaneous electric field. In the sense, electric field, the net electric field at any instant of time due to the fields of sources S1 and S2. S1 is the light source ಬರ್ತದೆ point P ಗೆ, S2 ಇಂದ ಕೂಡ light source ಬರ್ತಿದೆ point P ಗೆ. Let the field or the electric field due to light source S1 is taken as equal to E1. Field due to S2 is taken as equal to E2. And therefore, the net field at point P at any instant of time is given by the expression E equals E1 plus E2. Since the fields are the vector quantities, and therefore vector E equals vector E1 plus vector E2. It is the vector sum of two electric fields reaching point P. Right? And also, the Poynting vector S is proportional to square of the electric intensity or the instantaneous electric intensity at point P. Therefore, S proportional to E square, or S or E is nothing but equal to, it is E1 plus E2. Therefore, squaring we get E1 plus E2 whole square. Since it is E square, it is E1 plus E2 whole square. That will be equal to E1 square plus 2 plus E2 square plus 2 E1 E2. Right? Taking the time average of S, we get the intensity. So if we take the time average for S, we get the intensity. Therefore, I is equal to the average value of S, and that is proportional to average of E1 square plus average of E2 square plus 2 times the average of E1 E2. 2 times the average of E1 E2. If the sources are incoherent, then there will be no correlation between E1 and E2, and therefore this term vanishes in case of incoherent sources, and therefore for incoherent sources I is equal to E1 square plus E2 square. Since I is proportional to E square, since I is proportional, or I equals S and S equals E square, therefore I equals E1 square plus E2 square can be rewritten as I equals I1 plus I2, where I1 equals E1 square, I2 equals E2 square, the intensity due to source 1 and source 2. Right? If the sources are coherent, then if E1 is equal to E2, if E1 is equal to E2, and it will be E1 is equal to E2 for constructive interference. So for constructive interference, right, the sources are coherent, there is a relation between E1 and E2. E1 and E2. If the intensities or if the fields due to both the sources are same, in the sense if E1 is equal to E2, if E1 is equal to E2, then this expression becomes is E1 square plus E1 square plus 2 E1 dot E1. Therefore, it becomes E1 square plus E1 square plus 2 E1 square. In the sense, it becomes I1 square plus I1 square plus 2 I1 square. Therefore, total is 4 I1 square. I is 4 times the intensity, sorry, not 4 I1 square, it is 4 I1. Since I equals E square, E1 square plus E1 square plus 2 E1 square, therefore it becomes 4 E1 square. Or since I is proportional to E square, it becomes 4 I1 square becomes 4 E1 square becomes 4 I1. Therefore, I is equal to 4 I1. And hence, the intensity at point P, if it is constructive, it will be 4 times greater than the intensity due to an individual source. But if point P is the point where constructive interference is obtained, then the intensity at that point will be 4 times the intensity due to a single source. Also, if point P results in destructive interference, if there is destructive interference at point P, then for destructive interference, E1 will be equal to minus E2. That is the only difference. For constructive interference, E1 will be E2. For destructive interference, E1 will be equal to minus E2. If that is the case, the above relation becomes, this relation becomes, it is E1 square. This is minus E1 whole square, therefore it also becomes E1 square. And here it is E1 into minus E1. Or it is the scalar product, it becomes 0. Or in other words, right. Hey, one second. Sorry, it is right. This becomes E1 square. This becomes minus E1 whole square, therefore plus E1 square itself. This is minus E1 into minus E1 agutte. It is minus 2 E1 square agutte. Minus 2 E1 square. Therefore, it is E1 square plus E1 square minus 2 E1 square, or 2 E1 square plus 2 E1 square minus 2 E1 square. Therefore, I is equal to 2 I1 minus 2 I1 again, right? 2 E1 square, 2 E1 square minus 2 E1 square, or that will be 2 I1 minus 2 I1. They get cancelled, and therefore the intensity will be 0. Right? Therefore, due to destructive interference at point P, the intensity is 0. Right? So let us consider electric field components from slits S1 and S2, or E1 and E2, and they are given by the expression E0 sin omega t and E0 sin omega t plus phi. They have same amplitude, they have same velocity, frequency, wavelength, traveling along the same direction, but with a constant phase difference phi. The constant phase difference phi, right? For simplicity, we consider the point P to be the origin such that kx dependence of the wave function is eliminated. Since wave from slit 2 has traveled an extra distance delta that corresponds to phase difference phi. There is a phase difference between E1 and E2 on the heading, and that phase difference corresponds to a path difference delta. Right? And there is a difference between expression between phase difference and path difference. The general expression, phase difference is 2 pi by lambda times the path difference. From figure, path difference is d sine theta. Delta is d sine theta that can be derived, and therefore phi is equal to 2 pi by lambda into d sine theta. Therefore, the resultant electric intensity at point P due to the superposition of E1 and E2 is E equals C1 plus E2. It is a vector sum that is equal to E naught, which is common for both E1 and E2, multiplied by, for E1 it is sin omega t, for E2 it is sine of omega t plus phi. Or it is, so we again made use of the sine function sin A plus sin B expression. Sin A sin B is 2 sin A plus B by 2 into cos A minus B by 2. 2 E naught, which is common, sine of A plus B by 2, that is omega t plus phi whole divided by 2, that is 2 omega plus phi whole divided by 2. 2 omega by 2 is just omega t plus phi by 2. And in case of cos, it is omega t minus omega t minus phi whole divided by 2. It becomes minus phi by 2, but cos minus phi by 2 is nothing but cos phi by 2. We have used the trigonometric identity, right, in order to solve this, but we have I proportional to E square. Due to this, this expression becomes, due to this it becomes square of this. It is 4 E naught square cos square phi by 2 into sine square omega t plus phi by 2. And simplifying, we get 2 E naught square cos square phi by 2. ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೂ ಕೂಡ.